Wow. You know, Jacob did exactly what he told Laban he would do. He experimented to see how many spotted animals he could get out of those solid colored animals that Laban left behind. Wow. And you know what happened? He became very wealthy. So we start off Genesis chapter 31 as follows, verses 1 to 5. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not before him like before. He scowled. Anyway, and the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto the flock, and said to them, I see your father's countenance. Same wording, that is not before me as before. But the God of my father hath been with me. So Jacob overheard Laban's son slandering him. They said, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and he has gotten all his glory from that which was our father's. You see, Laban's sons openly expressed what Laban said privately and felt. Sometimes they overstretch what they're saying. They exaggerate. Covetous people like Laban often think that whatever they cannot take, if they failed in taking them, they think it was taken from them. Do you realize that? But to say that Jacob took away all that was Laban's, that would have been a downright lie. For example, what happened to the livestock that was put in charge of Laban's son back in chapter 30, verse 35? Did they have the same amount of breeding success? Now, in our trusty authorized version, we also read, And of that which was our father's, he's gotten all the glory. All the glory? Notice the son's definition of glory. His many servants, numerous cattle, sheep, camels, donkeys, and wealth. Do you realize the worldly man places all this as glory, happiness? You realize that Rockefeller, Mr. Rockefeller, the one who founded the Rockefeller Organization, Association, multi-billionaire. He's got so much wealth. Do you think he considers that a glory? He was asked, what would it take to make you happy? And what did he say? Oh, just a little bit more, a little bit more. Well, when that little bit more comes, he will still answer just a little bit more. He will never, never be happy. Well, in a sense, though, the sons were right. It was so far true what they said. It was out of their father's flock that Jacob got all his increase. But you see, it was done according to a covenant agreement that Laban and he entered into. And therefore, guess what? It was obtained in a just and lawful manner. Jacob didn't tell Laban, "Oh, I'm going to experiment and see how I can get most." Well, no, Laban thought, he's not going to get those multicolored ring stripe, whatever. I'm going to make it as difficult for him as possible. But God, he did not count, but God blessed him. It was definitely an understatement that Laban's countenance was not toward him as before. Actually, I believe it was an ugly scowl at the thought of being outplayed by a master. It was definitely confirmed when the Lord spoke to him. Return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. What a comforting thought. Hallelujah. What a comforting thought that the Lord would be with him. Yes, it was definitely time to go back home, to go back to Canaan. In consequence of this, he sent for Rachel and Leah to come to him in the field. And then he explained to them how their father's disposition had changed. He had probably been at some considerable distance with the flocks, and for greater secrecy, he had to have a secret meeting with them of what he was planning on doing. Calling them to the field, to the flocks, was probably the most reasonable way to consult them on this most serious decision, to leave and take them with them. Now, he started the conversation with them, and we read about that in verse 5. It says, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before. Well, before, Laban thought he was the cat's pajamas. Oh, sorry, that is a North American expression. He thought, man, what a sucker. He's blessing me for free. Whew. You know what? I'm going to offer him a pay. And Jacob is going to probably ask for a low amount, and I will still have him over the barrel. But Jacob didn't. Jacob made an offer that Laban could not refuse. And Laban was found to be the sucker. No wonder Laban was so angry. See, he started his conversation with them. Let's read this. I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God whom my fathers worshipped has been with me. Now, the authorized version, the King James Version, shows that Jacob calls the Lord the God of my father. It is definitely sad that Jacob did not identify him as my God. But what a great comfort it is to know that God faithfully still took ownership of him. And what a great comfort, too, the knowledge that though often we don't readily identify ourselves with God, sometimes we even forget him, don't we? But God still remains faithful. And he's taken ownership of us. And all I can say to that is, hallelujah.